Peculiar Cookbook. We are going to be making what J.D. Salinger would eat every Sunday. Today's Father's Day, so I'm teaching my boys how to make prime rib, or prime rib roast beef. This is a half of a whole one, so it's roughly like 8 pounds. So we're going to give all this on there. Okay, we're going to put a little onion soup all over it for flavoring. Okay, so now what we're going to do here is we're going to kind of make like a little edible crockery coating to put on this. So we've got, now I've halved the recipe because I'm only doing a half of a roast, but I have 4 cups of flour, and this is 4 cups of salt. Okay, so stir it up a little bit. You're kind of making like homemade Play-Doh, essentially. And what it'll do is it bakes in the oven, it'll form this hard crust that will allow the roast to cook nice and evenly and like its own little crockery pot. So I'm gonna mix a cup of water in with the 4 and 4 until I get like a paste. And you might need a little bit more water. I like it a little more wet to work with. And what's really nice about this is you can literally set it and forget it. It cooks at a really low temperature. I started out on 425 for like 30 minutes, and then I turn it down to 325, and it stays in the oven for about 3 hours. And you just don't have to worry about it. It won't get burnt. It won't get. And so now that you have it almost in this like paste, I'm just going to mash it on here. And you want to cover the entire roast with this because it's going to kind of seal in there. I leave the bottom open because I want the drippings to go through, because I'm going to use those drippings later when we do Yorkshire pudding. And now we're going to put it in the oven at 425 for 30 minutes and then reduce the temperature to 325 and let it cook for another 3 hours. Okay, so the beef is done. I've taken it out of the oven, and I'm going to leave it sit here and rest roughly for 25 to 30 minutes while we make the next part, which is Yorkshire pudding. It's also from the Peculiar Cookbook. It's, you know, nothing is English without Yorkshire pudding. What I've done is taken the drippings. Ryan here is going to make the Yorkshire pudding today.
Yes.
This requires some whipping, so I'm going to let him do the whipping. So I've taken off a 1/4 cup of the drippings of the beef. Now, surprise, surprise, I do have special pans for Yorkshire pudding because it's sort of supposed to puff up. It's a little bit the equivalent of stuffing for chicken, except it gives you a bread item to go along with beef. And you use the beef drippings to flavor it. So what I'm going to do, and you can do this with just a regular baking pan. It's really a lot like a popover, except you're using these beef drippings. And so you're going to add a little bit of the beef dripping to each little pan. Not too much, because I gotta be honest, a little bit of this goes a long way. So I'm gonna put it all in there. Now here, this part is really important. I'm gonna give all this a little bit more flavor. Okay, I'm gonna put this back into the oven. Once you take the beef out of the oven, you're gonna wanna raise the temperature to 450. Okay, so all this is, like I said, a popover batter, so it's a cup of flour. Let's do the 2 eggs. Let's do 2 eggs and a cup of milk. Now I'm just going to say I like to bang on the counter because the bowl's kind of flimsy.
Oh, really?
Do whatever. Okay. Now start whipping them.
Oh.
Okay. The idea is the eggs are what's going to make them really puffy and rise up. A lot of the way an omelet gets puffy and rises up. So you want those eggs to be good and beaten. Now you're going to add a cup of milk. The reason you're using a whisk and the reason you're doing like this is you're putting air into the eggs. See how they're getting all frothy with bubbles?
Yeah.
That's air. So the more air, the fluffier it's going to be.
Okay.
Keep doing that. And you can start. Now it's a cup of flour, and you want to just kind of work it in. And then what you're going to want to keep doing is making sure it's nice and smooth. So do like I taught you. And let let me interject here for one quick sec. Especially in baking, precise amount is important.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure you get all the flour in there. And now you're going to whip it again, get that air back in there. Cup to use for that.
Okay.
Okay. So it's all sizzling and hot. And so you're just going to use your cup and put batter into each one. Into the oven they go for about 20 minutes at 450 degrees. And here's the finished Yorkshire pudding. Okay, so here's your beef. I've removed the lid. Okay, and already made for today's dinner. Dennis made a blueberry pie last night.